Imagine a place where everyone knows each other. A quiet, friendly town where life moves at a gentle pace. The kind of place where people leave their doors unlocked at night. Now, imagine discovering that hidden within this peaceful facade lurks a predator. A killer who walks among them unnoticed. A neighbor, a friend, someone trusted by all. This is the story of Richard Calloway, the serial murderer who turned a small town into his personal hunting ground. Before we uncover this chilling case, if you're fascinated by true crime stories and want to hear more shocking tales like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Brookfield was the kind of town where life seemed frozen in time. Rows of charming houses lined the streets, their porches adorned with rocking chairs and flower pots. Children rode their bikes to school, while neighbors exchanged warm greetings at the local farmers market. Crime was rare, and when it did happen, it was usually nothing more than a minor dispute or petty theft. The people of Brookfield prided themselves on their sense of community, where everyone knew everyone and strangers stood out. But beneath this picturesque surface, a darkness was waiting to be uncovered, one that would shake the town to its core. The first sign of trouble came when Jessica Monroe, a well-liked waitress at the small-town cafe, vanished without a trace. It was a crisp autumn evening when she finished her shift and headed home, but she never made it. At first, speculation ran wild. Had she run away? Had she simply decided to leave Brookfield behind? But those who knew Jessica dismissed the idea immediately. She was responsible, hardworking, and deeply attached to her family. As days passed without any sign of her, worry turned into fear, and fear turned into full-blown panic when another resident, Jake Mitchell, disappeared under eerily similar circumstances. The town's unease escalated into sheer terror when a third person, a schoolteacher named Claire Davidson, went missing on her way home from an evening jog. By this point, authorities could no longer chalk these disappearances up to coincidence. Something sinister was unfolding in Brookfield, and as residents locked their doors for the first time in years, a horrifying truth was beginning to emerge. Someone in their community was hunting them, picking them off one by one. What they didn't know yet was that the killer wasn't a drifter or an outsider. He was one of them, someone they saw every day, someone they trusted completely. As the weeks dragged on, desperation grew. Families posted missing person flyers on every street corner, and volunteer search parties combed through wooded areas, hoping for any clue that could lead to answers. The police were working tirelessly, but with no leads, frustration mounted. It wasn't until a jogger took a shortcut through an overgrown path near the old limestone quarry that the town's worst fears were confirmed. The moment he tripped over something buried just beneath the surface, the case took a horrifying turn. Authorities arrived at the scene and unearthed a shallow grave. Inside, the remains of multiple victims, each bearing signs of brutal violence. With undeniable proof that a serial killer was among them, Brookfield's atmosphere shifted overnight. The once carefree town became a place of suspicion and fear. Doors that had never been locked were now bolted shut. Parents no longer let their children play outside unsupervised. The quaint streets, once bustling with friendly chatter, were now eerily quiet. The police ramped up their efforts, pulling in experts from state agencies and even seeking the assistance of FBI profilers. They were dealing with a calculated, methodical killer, someone who had evaded capture for months, maybe even years. As forensic teams examined the bodies, chilling details emerged. The victims had all been taken under similar circumstances, each lured into a false sense of security before meeting their gruesome fate. But perhaps the most disturbing revelation was that all the victims had known each other, and they had all crossed paths with one man. The town's beloved carpenter, Richard Calloway. He had been hiding in plain sight all along. If you find this case as chilling as we do, make sure to subscribe. There are more true crime mysteries just like this one that you won't want to miss. With the town gripped by fear, law enforcement launched one of the most extensive investigations in its history. FBI profilers were called in, and a psychological profile of the killer began to take shape. The suspect was likely someone who blended into the community, someone charming yet calculating, with an ability to manipulate and deceive. Authorities started re-examining past cases, missing persons reports, and even seemingly unrelated crimes from years ago. Every local with a suspicious past became a potential suspect. Then, an unexpected clue emerged, one that would break the case wide open. Investigators received an anonymous tip about a piece of evidence left near the quarry, an old pocket watch inscribed with initials that didn't belong to any known victims. When traced, it led authorities to the doorstep of someone they never expected. Neighbors described him as an unassuming man, someone who always offered to help fix a broken fence or lend a tool. But behind this mask of normalcy, Richard Calloway had been carefully orchestrating a reign of terror that spanned years. It wasn't just about the killings, it was about control, about outsmarting those around him while playing the role of the friendly town handyman. But his time was running out. Authorities conducted a covert surveillance operation, monitoring Calloway's every move. They combed through his past, interviewing former acquaintances, employers, and anyone who had interacted with him over the years. What they found was chilling. Calloway had moved from town to town, never staying in one place for too long. There were whispers of missing persons cases in the areas he had lived before, but no concrete proof had ever surfaced, until now. Forensic analysis of the pocket watch revealed traces of blood that matched one of the missing victims. Armed with this evidence, authorities obtained a warrant and raided Calloway's home. What they discovered was far worse than anyone could have imagined. Hidden beneath the floorboards and inside locked compartments were trophies, souvenirs from each of his victims. Jewelry, clothing, handwritten notes, all carefully preserved like grotesque mementos of his crimes. Calloway was arrested on the spot, his expression eerily calm as officers led him away. In the days that followed, he refused to speak, offering no confession, no explanation. But the evidence against him was overwhelming, and soon, the full extent of his crimes came to light. He had been stalking, abducting, and murdering victims for over a decade, always staying one step ahead of the law. His meticulous nature had allowed him to blend in seamlessly, but in the end, it was his own arrogance that led to his downfall. Calloway had always been careful, but even the most meticulous killers make mistakes. And in his arrogance, he had left behind enough evidence to seal his fate. The facade he had maintained for years crumbled in an instant as officers led him away in handcuffs. The town that had once embraced him now watched in horror as they realized the monster had been among them all along. If you're as shocked as we are, hit that subscribe button. These real-life cases prove that truth is often stranger than fiction. The arrest of Richard Calloway was swift and dramatic. A tactical team moved in, catching him off guard. As news spread, residents gathered in the streets, desperate for answers. During trial, prosecutors laid out the horrifying details. Survivors and family members of victims gave emotional testimonies. Calloway showed little remorse, his cold, calculating nature on full display. In the end, the jury deliberated for only 3 hours, delivering a guilty verdict. Justice was served, but the scars left on the town would never fully heal. If you found this case as chilling as we did, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We have more true crime cases coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one. Years later, the town of Brookfield still bears the weight of its darkest chapter. People still talk about the signs they missed, the warnings that seemed insignificant at the time. This case serves as a haunting reminder that evil can lurk anywhere, even next door, and that sometimes, the people we least suspect are capable of the unimaginable. If you found this case as chilling as we did, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. We have more true crime cases coming your way, and you won't want to miss them. Stay safe, stay aware, and we'll see you in the next one.